To make sure that people understand that this reopening that's happening across our state and across this country is not a get-out-of-jail-free card.
We're nearly a week away from North Carolina possibly going to phase 2 of the reopening process. Today, Mecklenburg County health officials said they expect to be ready. Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Scott Wickersham.
I'm Erica Bryant. In the past hour, health leaders gave an update on Mecklenburg County's response. And Channel 9's Joe Bruno questioned what is being done. He's joining us now live. Joe, they say they want to remind everyone that reopening does not mean that the risk is gone.
Erica, COVID-19 is not going anywhere, but at the same time, we can't stay locked down forever. In fact, the health director says that we are ready as of now to enter phase 2 next week. County Health Director Gibby Harris says our trends are stable. That means if Governor Roy Cooper announces we are entering in phase 2 next week, we should be in good shape. Phase 2 will bring back gyms, bars, indoor dining, and houses of worship. All will be at limited capacity and will need social distancing measures in place. The county is working on guidance they hope to have ready by next Friday. The whole point of the stay-at-home order is to buy time for hospital systems to treat an influx of COVID-19 patients. Harris says the county is moving in the right direction and some of the restrictions that have been in place can be lifted.
It's unreasonable to think that we are not going to start opening up some. Our economy needs us to open up some. Our individuals need us to open up some.
But it's not up to Harris whether we enter into phase 2 next week. It's up to Governor Roy Cooper. And today in a news conference, he kind of played coy when he was asked whether we are going to enter into phase 2 next week. But our state data is showing that we are trending in the right direction. Now, there's been a whole lot of talk about models in Mecklenburg County. Last night, I told you how the county's kind of distancing themselves from the University of Penn model. Coming up on Eyewitness News at 6, you'll hear from the health director defending the use of that model. Erica.
All right, Joe, thank you for that summary. We'll look forward to your next report. Thank you.
North Carolina did see its highest jump in cases today at 691, but that's again in part because they're testing a lot more people. One key metric officials are looking at to gauge whether the state can hit phase 2 is the percentage of positive tests. Yesterday's count showed 7% of the total tests done were positive, up from 6% the day before, but we hit a low on Monday. It was at just 5%. And to give you an idea, though, of the improvement, North Carolina saw its high in mid-April. That's when 17% of the tests done came back positive. The state has many key metrics they're looking at, and most, they say, are stable. Today, Governor Cooper said he and health officials are keeping a close eye on that data between now and next Friday, which is when we could start phase 2.
We will use the time in this phase to keep a careful eye on the indicators before we're ready to announce the start of phase 2. The decision hasn't been made yet whether it will be on May 22nd. But we're hoping that this will be a statewide move.
Governor Cooper says he wants this again to be statewide, not county by county, every county doing something different. He's worried about people who live in one county but work or shop or visit people in another county and worried about spreading the virus. So again, he wants this to happen for the entire state at the same time.
And in phase 2 in North Carolina, restaurants and bars could be able to open with safety measures in place and limited capacity. The owners of Cabarrus Brewing in Concord have a unique advantage when it comes to preparing for that day because 2 of them are doctors. They sat down with our Susanna Black, and she is joining us now live. Susanna?
Well, Erica, because of their unique perspective, those doctors tell me that they were social distancing here before the virus even got to North Carolina. And as they plan to reopen their doors, they say that they'll keep doing that. And they want their customers to know that this is for their own good.
When you know how sick people can get and that people die and it's very real for you.
I've got a couple of my patients that have it now. Alan Crusell and Keith Griffin are doctors and double as owners of Cabarrus Brewing in Concord. Both have had a front row seat to COVID-19 and were watching the virus from the very beginning.
There were a lot of things that we did even before things were closed down in North Carolina.
Now that the state is nearing phase 2, they're prepping to open the brewery's doors once again with their experience in mind.
And trying to make sure that we're able to provide the service that people need and have a good time, but have a safe time, not us be responsible for Cabarrus County starting to have big outbreaks of coronavirus is kind of what we're trying to balance.
Never before has customer safety been as important as customer service.
Co-owner Steve Steinbacher says protecting their customers' health means making some big changes to business. Instead of customers standing in line at the bar, they'll order from their table to minimize gathering. They'll also limit the number of people inside, instead focusing on their outdoor beer garden and patio.
I think the biggest thing's going to be a challenge for us is that we are used to big crowds, and we have to tell some people no or come back another night, and that's going to be different for us.
Steinbacher says they know at first the adjustment will be tough for everyone, but they want their customers to know they're taking their reopen seriously because they care.
We know this is real. We know the risks are real. So to do the right thing by the community is to do the right thing by your customers.
And as you can imagine, they're going to be taking cleaning very seriously. They'll be wiping down all of their surfaces with viricides regularly and doing a deep clean every single night. And as for the beer, the reason that people come here in the first place, they are ramping up production as we speak. Erica?
Yes, taking all of those precautions so they can welcome people back in when it's time. Thank you, Susanna.
Well, Cabarrus Brewery and other local businesses have been relying on the PPP loan program in this time. And today we spoke with leaders at U.S. Bank, and they say they're still getting applications. They're also allowing non-customers of theirs to apply.
We absolutely want to continue down this path. Again, as long as the funding is available, and it is in an ample way today, and we think it will be for several weeks to come.
Yeah, those loans are a huge part of keeping these businesses afloat and helping them keep their workers employed and they're getting a paycheck. Well, the scope of the destruction to our economy, though, just continues to grow. Nearly 3 million more laid off workers applied for unemployment benefits last week all across the country, according to the numbers out today. So that's now roughly 36 million people since the beginning of the pandemic 2 months ago who have lost their jobs, and some of those might never come back. Those staggering numbers have been overwhelming state unemployment systems, and of course people, as we have been telling you, have had to wait for days or weeks or sometimes hours each day on the phone. And some people have gotten their checks finally who've been waiting, but many are telling our Action 9 investigator Jason STOOGENKE even if they do get through, it's still not smooth sailing after that.
Well, you have to fill out your weekly certification to keep the money coming, but one wrong move and the checks could stop like that.
I have been a stylist since 2012.
Morgan Haynes is a hairstylist at this salon in Kannapolis. The business had to close in March. She applied for unemployment and finally got through.
I got a couple checks, and then I answered a question wrong.
The question was here on her weekly certification. It asked if she made money that week. She wanted to be honest, so she said yes and put down the amount from her unemployment check.
And then for 2 weeks there, I didn't get anything.
That's right. She says 2 weeks, no money.
It's stressful because the bills still roll around. They still come every time. You know, your mortgage payment, your power bill, even though they won't cut you off right now, it's still going to add up. So it was hard.
She learned the hard way she should have answered that question with a no and not included her unemployment check.
I called, I emailed, it was frustrating. It became a nightmare trying to get through to someone to help.
She finally got it sorted out. So here's the deal. When the weekly certification asks for your income, don't include your unemployment checks. The state only cares about the money you make outside of that. Even then, you can make some money without jeopardizing your unemployment. Look at how much your unemployment check is for without the extra $600 PUA money, and you can make up to 20% of it and still be okay. Back to you.
U.S. Senator from North Carolina Richard Burr has stepped aside as chairman of the powerful Senate Intelligence Committee. That decision came today, just hours after it was revealed that the FBI served a search warrant for Burr's cell phone last night. The Justice Department is investigating whether Burr committed insider trading. Today, he was asked why he gave up his chairmanship.
This is a distraction to the hard work of the committee and the members, and I think the security of the country is too important to have a distraction.
The case centers around nearly $2 million in stock sales that happened right after the Intelligence Committee was briefed on the threat of coronavirus. The stocks that Burr sold plummeted just a few weeks later as the markets sank as a result of the outbreak. Burr has said that he relied solely on public news reports to make his decisions. Coming up ahead tonight at 6 o'clock, what investigators are looking for on Burr's cell phone? An insight from a former FBI special agent on the significance of this investigation.
Hundreds of pastors around the state protesting in Raleigh today, demanding their churches be allowed to reopen. They say the governor's order is unconstitutional, and they officially filed a lawsuit against the state today. Channel 9 reporter Ken Lemon spoke to a Monroe minister who went to that rally, but found not every church leader actually wants to open up the inside of their church.
There was cheering today outside of the legislative building in Raleigh. A group of 200 pastors with a group called Return America filed a federal and state suit to overturn Governor Roy Cooper's order, barring more than 10 people gathering indoors, including churches. In that crowd is Pastor Tim Cruz of Shining Light Baptist Church in Monroe.
That we need to stand up and just remind our leaders that we have a God-given right to assemble as a local church.
All things are possible. He said drive-up worship and virtual service doesn't accomplish what he is ordained to do.
You can't really make a difference at a distance in someone's life.
Return America said all they want, the same rights granted to retail. Shopping is allowed with limits, but health experts say sitting for more than 10 minutes indoors creates a high risk for the spread of COVID-19. These pastors want changes now, despite the fact that the governor's order allows limited church gatherings that could start as early as next week.
Church is essential and is so important in this hour.
It's not a call to fight each other. This is foolish.
Pastor Melvin Clark of Cleveland County said there is no need to rush to reopen churches when there is no way to know who has the disease and no known cure for those infected.
How do we care for those who God has entrusted us to protect their life?
I'm a church elder.
Today, the governor responded to the suit, saying his order was written with respect to First Amendment rights and reiterated the dangers of holding services indoors. And according to a legal expert I spoke to, the governor's office may have as little as 4 days to respond to those suits that were filed, and it may have to produce hard facts, numbers, figures, data to back up why the order should remain in place. Back to you.
Also today, a CMPD wanted to reiterate what the rules are for churches at the Mecklenburg County briefing. And churches, again, are supposed to have service outside, but they said unless that is completely not possible, then they can have that indoor service. The 10-person limit doesn't apply, but of course, social distancing would still be required.